just the protocol itself, but there's also the involvement of proposals on both chains. Um, the I've been told three different things in total. So the first thing I was told by the dev team for Merge Protocol is that there will be a proposal to take the entirety of the Oracle rewards pool for Lunc, send it up to some kind of centralized exchange, convert it into Luna, put it in the community pool for Luna, a direct transfer there, and then distribute it, airdrop it proportionately among Lunc stakers according to their prior wallet snapshot. So that's one plan. But now Merge Protocol itself seems to be a decentralized bridge that works cross-chain and allows Lunc holders to transfer their tokens across and provide them into LP tokens, which are bonded into a vault and provide permanent liquidity in exchange for emissions from Astroport. So that's the second plan, which is quite interesting as well, because like if you think about it, this solves the fundamental problem. So one big problem if you have a token or any pair of any kind is that you need deep liquidity to make it easy to trade, a great trading experience, minimal slippage. The deeper the liquidity, the better the experience is. That's a universal through all of crypto. Any decentralized exchange, even any centralized exchange, needs that. They're trying to attract liquidity, so there's a better experience on all of them, right? The issue is that right now the incentives, like Astro token incentives, are paid out moment to moment to moment whenever anyone provides an LP. The issue with that is that they can stop at any time and they can go in at any time, right? So there's no incentive for permanence of LPing that way. If there's a bigger carrot dangled elsewhere, like a higher APY on a different exchange, or even a different pair within the same exchange, or say somebody's trying to avoid a liquidation on a centralized exchange and needs to transfer their assets over to help avoid and add margin to that, these are all problems. Exchanges are therefore fighting for liquidity all of the time. There's this constant battle going on. People are fighting. There are votes of which pair, which token gets the astro emissions, which one gets the most. This is an ongoing thing. So we think that the solution they've come up with, which is quite interesting, is to instead of give emissions out as a free and continuous thing on the basis that somebody is LPing in any given moment. It's instead to pay them to permanently lock in their LP forever, going into a vault, and then instead selling that willingness to do that for Astro emissions. So I think that's what's happening here, as far as I understand it. So people are going to bridge across Lunc. They're going to buy LP. There's going to be some kind of simple interface here where people buy LP tokens, bond them into the protocol forever, permanently depositing them and allowing them to provide liquidity forever. And then in return, the Astro emissions will be converted into Luna, a higher amount, because obviously it's better for the protocol to have the permanent LP position because they earn Astro emissions in perpetuity, right, forever, which is far more than the short-term gain you might pay in addition as an incentive for locking it in the protocol.
That's really interesting because I remember a little while ago, Terra Watcher or John Galt had noticed that in the Astroport contracts they'd put aside, I think it was either 50 or 100 million Astro tokens, so like 5 to 10% of the supply for a second lock drop on Terra 2. So I just wonder if there's any correlation there, and they've been planning this for some time.
Is do you know anything about this?
Sorry, I was just saying a message. What John Galt? I heard John Galt. What was his thread? Which thread are we talking about?
We're talking about. He noticed that there was. I'm not sure the exact number. I think it was either 50 or 100 million Astroport tokens that had been put aside for a second. So, like they did the liquidity bootstrapping lock drop on Terra V1 when they launched, they've put aside for a second. A second lock drop on Terra V2, and I was just speculating again whether there was any sort of correlation there, and perhaps some of the Astroport team might be behind Merge Protocol and have been potentially planning this for some time.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we know that Astroport's and legal team has said they can't talk about what they're working on for legal reasons. They can't make any promises. They can't say what they're going to do. Otherwise, they'll fall foul of potential securities laws. So we don't really know what they might be up to. But that is one thing that they could be doing. Yes.
By the way, it's a fully anonymous team. So we have no idea who this team is. We just know what we've been told, which is that it intends to be a fully open, permissionless, non-custodial DeFi protocol that works bridged across to Lunc to extract the liquidity and to make it worthwhile for all Lunc holders to transfer their assets into the Luna blockchain, exchange them, lock it permanently in the LP, and I think also pick up some kind of proportionate airdrop from the siphoning of the Oracle rewards pool into Luna and the redistribution of that.
But Dao, we're talking about the technical details. We're talking about how everyone's going to make lots of money, but we're kind of forgetting one of the most important things, which is that community. Is this the best thing for the Lunc community? Is this what is best for the Lunc chain? Does it, annihilating the Oracle rewards pool, is that worth the price for making everybody lots of money?
Well, I think we need to segregate the two proposals that have been put forward. So there's the DeFi protocol, which is a cross-chain bridge of Merge protocol. That's one thing. And then in addition to that, there are the two protocols, the two proposals that are happening on both chains to redistribute the community pool. So these are different things, and they shouldn't be considered as one package. I think they have the same proposers, the same developers behind them. I think they are aiming towards the destruction of the Lunc blockchain and a kind of siphoning off of liquidity. And I think, as far as I understand it, the DeFi protocol exists in bare bones fashion, in MVP fashion, to achieve what the proposal may depend upon voting yes for. So their intention is, if the proposal goes forward alone and the chain can simply be liquidated and vaporized immediately, with the entirety of the community pool transferred over to the other one and redistributed on Luna, that is game over and they win. So there's no need for the DeFi protocol. However, plan B, in a game theoretic sense, plan B is that if that doesn't work, if it gets voted out and the bribing doesn't work to the validators on Lunc, then the DeFi protocol can be established, a cross-chain bridge can be established, which can slowly suck out liquidity using typical flywheel incentives. And the other thing with that is that the bigger the bonded position permanently, the bigger the LP positions are bonded permanently into the vault, the more each additional person who is bribed gets. So that means the people who are initially signing up to deposit their Lunc into the protocol and get Luna in return are earning less than you would later on. The people who come last are earning the most because the emissions are the highest from the LP position that's locked in.
My connection's not too great, but I think I heard a few details there about LP positions and locking and making money. So that all seems pretty reasonable. Do you think that, so yeah, the two separate proposals, one which is a bit more egregious and would kill the Lunc blockchain, and the second, which is just a protocol you can opt into, is the protocol that you opt into, do you think they're trying to take the $2,165,113 locked in Astroport on Terra Classic and move that over to Luna 2?
Well, I think you're hinting at some kind of involvement of that team. I have no idea. I don't think it's anything to do with that team. I think that team builds in the public eye. They're publicly doxed, all of them. Whereas this team is fully anonymous. So I don't think there's any relationship there. But yeah, I would say that the goal is to suck out the liquidity. That's the goal. And here's an interesting thing. The Lunc blockchain community campaigned for a long, long time for the opening of staking on the Lunc blockchain because it was closed. It was closed for, I think, around 3 or 4 months. It was closed down after the hold. It was locked down. There could be no new staking or delegation. Lots of people complained about that because it disabled the free flow of money. Somebody couldn't stake, whereas somebody else could, and that's unfair. That's inherently unfair. In any DeFi protocol, there needs to be complete equality of who is able to deposit money where, who is able to stake where. It should be entirely your choice. There should be no restrictions. So really, I think what Merge Protocol seeks to achieve is just to be a DeFi protocol. It's positioned on Luna. It's a cross-chain bridge. Yes, it provides a function. Yes, but at the same time, it does nothing of itself. It cannot force you to use it. It cannot somehow manipulate you into using it. It's just an open, transparent protocol. There's no person at the helm forcing anyone on Lunc to use it. It's entirely up to them. If they think the upside is worth the downside, then people might start depositing their Lunc inside it, and it might start sucking out liquidity. It might start siphoning liquidity from the Lunc blockchain into Luna. But really, it's just a DeFi protocol. There's no maliciousness here. People should be able to do whatever they like with their money. If somebody can design something like that might solve a key inefficiency, that might provide deeper liquidity on Luna, while providing some kind of incentive or at least choice for Lunc holders, then I think that's fair game. I don't think anyone can criticize that. We can say we think it's bad, we think it's awful for the community. Personally, my stance is that I'm going to vote no on anything like this, and I'm going to actively encourage everyone in the community never to use something like this, because I think it is putting the two communities in opposition, and I don't think that should ever happen. I don't think anyone who builds a tool that puts the two communities in opposition is a good person. I think there are ways to cooperate, ways to work together to build a whole greater than the parts that doesn't involve the direct siphoning of liquidity via some DeFi protocol. I think that is a little bit distasteful in many ways. And even if it is good in the short term for gaining liquidity, for deepening liquidity on the Luna blockchain, I think it could be hazardous and bad long term in terms of making a kind of tribal warfare situation, or perhaps somebody transfers their Lunc across and they are suddenly the enemy for doing that. That is a horrible position when it's like you have two hot water bottles and you connect a pipe between them, and when you press down one, the water goes across the pipe into the other one, and the other one swells up. And that's a horrible situation, right? Because it puts them in direct competition. And I don't think that should ever be a situation, either in reality or in narrative. I think we should avoid things like that.
So I know you're, Lunc DAO are opposed to the merge, and I'm kind of on the fence at the minute. I'm just kind of wanting to learn more about it and find out more details, and then I'll sort of make my mind up. But I know you've been preaching unity, community, and utility, and just kind of thinking about the merge from a holistic view. Does the merge not in itself preach those three, that mantra of unity, community, and utility, and potentially brings the two communities which have been quite divided and separate and sort of opposed to each other together to achieve a common goal?
Yeah, I mean, I can see all perspectives. I think for me, my mission has always been, we need to have Lunc be an independent community. It's a completely different set of demographics, right? So the new Luna community is mainly the people who were heartbroken in the crash, who lost everything, who were airdropped a proportionate amount to the snapshots pre and post crash. That is the current Luna community. The current Lunc community is mainly new retail investors who saw the potential, who wanted to build something out of the ashes. They are separate. So I think they should remain separate in many ways. They have different goals. They are different kinds of people. They have different dreams. I think there's always going to be a distinction between both chains. They're both free to take their own direction, and I think that's healthy and positive. But I think there should be bridges formed wherever we can, and I think each person should easily be able to access the other chain. And I also think that any developer on one of the chains, say on Luna, should be able to deploy the same apps on Lunc. I think that should be a reality. So it's like separate islands, but there are bridges between them. I think that's
I just think like together we could be stronger, right? So if you think about you think about the old Luna community, it was a lot of education. It was kind of very DeFi focused, and ultimately built up this 60 billion. Worked with the developers to build up this $60 billion ecosystem. And then with the new Lunc community, you've got retail, you've got memeability, and we still see that community extremely strong, having very high engagement. Always kind of top of the alt ranks on Luna Crush in terms of like engagement, hashtags. And if you think about maybe if you brought those two communities together in a single blockchain, the power of what that could bring.
What sort of power? Like can you punch someone harder?
Coach, it seems like you've been talking to the Merge protocol devs a lot because you're pretty insightful on what they're planning.
No, it's just a few DMs over a few days. I was told it was happening 2 days ago, and that's the moment I started warning people on Twitter. That's the moment I started.
Any inkling of like who they are, what time?
I did correlate it. It seemed to be, I don't know. It's too little data. It's only like a couple message. It was late at night in UK time, so you can draw into that if you like. The only reason I started warning people was because there was an initial discussion like, hey, we're building this thing. And then there was a follow-up that said, would you accept 20,000 Luna for passing this vote? So I found that a little bit sketchy. Similar things have happened in the past, and I've accepted them because it's in the interest of the ecosystem. But this one seemed like it definitely wasn't, which made the hair on the end of my neck kind of stand up a little bit. I was like, there's something happening here. And then I asked two other validators, and they said they'd been offered smaller amounts, which was quite complimentary given that, we were offered 20,000 and they were only offered 3,000. So that was good. But at the same time, I don't think any amount of money would make me betray the Lunc community. I think that what we have built here, the vision, the hope, the amount of time, the effort, the emotion we put into this thing for the last 6 months, building up this wonderful community, unifying it, having Terror Rebels here, having all of these wonderful brains here, having everyone here and building together, that isn't anything I give up for any amount of money. I'm attracted. I reflected the other day. I'm attracted to doing things that help others, firstly, and I'm also attracted to beautiful ideas. And for me, the idea of being bribed is not something beautiful, but the idea of building an independent chain and a thriving ecosystem that survives of itself without running to Do Kwon or anyone else, that is a beautiful thing, and that's what I believe in. So that's my basic position. That's why I turned down the bribe the other day. I understand completely if other validators say yes, not a problem, do whatever you like. As well as that, use the protocol if you like, use Merge protocol if you like. It's in my opinion, the whole idea of crypto is financial sovereignty, the free flowing of money anywhere you like. You can deposit in whatever protocol you like, you can take it out whenever you like, you can stake it whenever you like, you can change it for any token you like, do whatever you like with it. Let the incentives be the carrot that draws you there, right? If half of the Lunc community choose to use Merge protocol and half of the liquidity drains out and adds to Luna, I'm not going to blame them because that's just their choice. They've expressed their own autonomous will and their volition in their actions. I think financial assets are an expression of the will, and people can do whatever they like. They're free. They have free will.
So it seems to me like the Merge protocol, the gist of it is that they'll incentivize people to swap Classic into Luna V2, but the incentive doesn't exist for the other side to do the opposite transaction. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there would be an opportunity there for someone to build a forked protocol in the opposite direction.
Well, I don't know if you can answer this, but what's to stop a current Luna holder to just, excuse me, someone's interrupting. What's to stop a current Luna holder from just buying up a bunch of Luna Classic and then taking advantage of the incentives as opposed to the Luna Classic?
I'm not sure. I haven't had a in-depth conversation with the devs. I think they're working hard. I think something was mentioned about tracking wallets. So they are going to track the transfers in the undelegations out of Lunc stakers, out of Lunc validators. Because obviously they can't track anything that goes through an exchange or anything like that, but they can track the actions of Lunc stakers at the point at which they delegate and undelegate from Lunc validators. So I think there's going to be some tracking there. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm not a technical person. There are these DeFi geniuses out there who know everything about this kind of thing. I'm not one of them. I'm going to say that. I'm going to be humble and say that, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a marketer. I'm a person with a vision. I know a little bit about code in terms of the architecture of code. I've learned a little bit about Lisp and Haskell and functional programming languages, but it wasn't for coding. It was only to learn how to think.
We should definitely hear from Jimmy because he's super insightful and not like a total jackass.
Yeah, I'm really keen to hear Jimmy's initial impressions on Merge.
Jimmy, what do you think about the merge?
I would say this. I looked at their Twitter, and I see very little information about them. There is no URL for their website. All it says, they live on the moon. Not even capitalized, just a moon, not the moon.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
It's very early days, right? I think they're just putting themselves out there.
This is just like, hey, we're building this thing. It's probably going to be ready late December, sometime after IBC is opened. We're not investing all of our time in this thing. We're just building it slowly in the idea that, if IBC opens, we want to provide this financial primitive because we think a lot of people might want to do it. And I think from my perspective, fair enough. Like whenever there's any kind of market inefficiency, no matter what that is, there's always going to be some capitalist, some developer who can build a financial primitive, an app, whatever, that solves that inefficiency and offers some kind of incentive to facilitate the initiation of the siphoning of liquidity and eventual reaching of homeostasis.
This really does remind me very much of a vampire attack. So, for example, SushiSwap on Uniswap trying to suck liquidity out of it. In the same way, this protocol is trying to vampire attack Lunc, which sounds like a bad thing, being attacked by a vampire, but it's actually quite good because the way it works is, as Coach was saying, financial incentives. So I, for one, if I can see a way to make money with this, I'll do it. I'll go and buy a bunch of Lunc, and then I'll bring it across, and then I'll get the rewards for locking that Lunc up on the Luna 2 chain. And I'll take that money and I'll feed my family. So I think everyone has to think in this kind of way.
Yeah, I like the moment I read the messages earlier, I started thinking like, hey, am I going to be able to take some USDT on an exchange it for Lunc, and then send it to my TerraStation wallet on the Lunc blockchain, and then send it across and gain more proportionate Luna, then send that up to an exchange and gain more USDT, and then use the USDT to buy more Lunc and loop it round and around and around. Presumably I can't. Presumably that's just like my little fantasy or something of making infinite money. Presumably there's going to be some kind of limiter valve somewhere along the way, maybe some kind of time deadline or some kind of monitoring of accounts or something like that. I'm not sure, but like they said they've solved this problem because I raised it earlier. They didn't say how, they never clarified. But presumably, even so, there will be a lot of people who choose to use this opportunity, this ARB opportunity. In the polls we've run in the last few weeks, I was quite kind of, I guess shocked would be the word, quite shocked to see that so many people were asking for the merge. And so many people seemed to be supporting Do Kwon. That was disappointing as well, after all that happened. I think the last poll we ran about merge versus no merge, about 60% voted for the merge, which was kind of bewildering. It makes me think that most of the investors here now and most of the investors on Twitter are probably people who joined quite late, because in my recollection, when I first started LuncDAO in mid-May and laid out the vision and started the burn narrative, and we began down this path, most of the people who came here early were very positive and very intelligent, and they understood the vision. They understood, the long-term potential of the Lunc blockchain as an independent chain, a thriving ecosystem of itself. And I think it's really the people who came later on. They're the bandwagoners. They're the ones who invest on the basis of seeing other people invest, whereas they don't see the actual vision, the actual ideas, the actual framework behind the initial vision. They're the ones who just kind of chase the carrot. And I think when we do these polls on Twitter, it's mostly those people voting now. It's mostly people who are opportunists. I've jokingly called them cockroaches in the past, and I think that's sometimes true, because they don't care about the long-term potential of the Lunc blockchain. They only really care about flipping their money, making a quick buck. Am I going to make a 2x on Lunc? Am I going to be able to transfer my Lunc to the Luna blockchain and make quick 50%? That's the way they think. They're not people who really build things. They're people who exploit things that are already happening. So, in many ways as well, I was thinking that the people who swap their Lunc to buy Luna are really the people we want to lose anyway, because they're the opportunists. They're the ones who don't really care, about the future of the Lunc blockchain anyway. They're the ones who will choose a quick profit over long-term building and over community. And I think that in many ways, the community will strengthen through losing those people. There are always, if you make a plate of food and a few bugs land in it, you need to take out those bugs. Otherwise, it's not going to be a tasty plate of food. It's the same with communities. There are always some bad people, and there are always people that need taking out. And to offer specifically those bad people a carrot that lures them out of the blockchain, that siphons them away. We might lose a little bit of liquidity. That's true. We might lower the market cap by half. That's true. But at the same time, we lose all of those bad actors, the ones who are here merely for profit and don't really care about unity, community, or utility.
I think it's really interesting that 0xEars raises the idea of a vampire attack, because we saw one successful vampire attack on Terra V1, which was the Astroport vampire attack on TerraSwap, and just kind of leads me back to that Astroport theory that maybe they're behind this and they've been planning it for some time.
Yeah, no idea. I mean, I don't want to get in any legal trouble with, Gabe or the legal team there. I don't want to. What I will say is, in the past, the team there has always built in the public eye. They've always been publicly doxed. They've always had official companies and things. I think it's extremely unlikely that they have anything to do with this. Even though there is a high incentive to use Astroport's emissions better and to transfer the liquidity that's currently in Astroport Classic into the new version, even though there are all those incentives, and I can see the clear way to do it and the agenda in doing it, and the way it will be quite easy just to fork an existing protocol to do this, and other primitives that are quite easy to integrate and embed. Even though that's incredibly easy, I don't think it's that team.
I think it's difficult to ignore the positives that had, like, across the ecosystem, and they're not just from a kind of token price perspective, but also from a liquidity perspective, and then also attracting other builders to the ecosystem. Building creating the Astro Wars, bringing in teams like Redacted Cartel and yeah.
Can I interrupt you there, Ryan?
Absolutely.
I think that something would help here, maybe 0xEars, if you don't mind talking about this a little bit, is when people mention bribes and cartels in the context of cryptocurrency, they really don't mean the same thing as bribing a police officer to get away with a crime, or taking advantage of someone's greed or something like that. They mean something quite different. Maybe 0xEars, you could talk about what bribes mean and how they are actually healthy in the context of DeFi.
Well, I mean, I don't know too much about this stuff, but I will say that I think when you say the word bribe, it brings into your head an image of maybe like a mob boss or a police officer being handed a brown envelope under a table. But in reality, it's not really like that at all. It's actually very transparent and open. It's kind of celebrated on a dashboard, on analytics. Everybody knows it's happening. So it's not some clandestine thing. It's more like lobbying, but in public. So, for example, maybe I can think of a few examples here. Maybe there's an opportunity for someone to say, hey, I want to direct some token emissions here. I want your governance. I want the power of your governance, and I want you to vote on something because I think that's going to be beneficial for me. So maybe there's an Astroport pool, and maybe that Astroport pool is sufficiently you want more liquidity in that pool so that you can have more volume and you can have more people using your protocol, and there's it's less slippage and blah 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 blah. So maybe you want
slow down. Just for the Lunc people, what is liquidity? What is that word?
So here's an idea. Imagine you go to the airport and you got the foreign exchange counter, and you say, all right, I'd like to change some dollars for pounds. I don't know why you do that, but I want to change some dollars for pounds. So the cash they've got on hand at the Forex desk, so let's say they've got like £200. Let's say they're rubbish. They've got £200 and they've got like 500 yen and an assortment of other currencies. And you say, hey, I'd like I'd like $200 dollars worth of pounds. That cash on hand that they've got is their liquidity. It's how much of each type of currency they've actually got. So if they haven't got enough yen to swap for dollars, well, you're fucked. You can't serve very many customers. It's not exactly how it works in automated market makers, but it's a fine example. So cash on hand is liquidity in a sense.
Yep. And when you get into X times Y equals K pools with AMMs and stuff, the effect of a loss of a tiny bit of liquidity of either of the pair tokens is very injurious to the trading experience. It increases slippage a lot, increases the loss for the people swapping. It makes it a horrible experience for any trader. So it damages the system greatly.
Can you explain slippage?
Sefi, do you mind explaining slippage?
Well, normally, so let's say today the price of Atom is $10. If there is insufficient liquidity in a AMM, then instead of one Atom costing $10, when you actually go to do the trade on your DEX, it might end up being, let's say, $10 and 50 cents. So that would be a fairly high slippage. So normally you want slippage that is like 0.3% or lower ideally, but slippages can go from like anywhere from 1 to 10% depending on, or even more if the liquidity pool just doesn't have any money. So the way to look at it would be like you're going to pay more for the coin you want, more than it's worth if the pool contains insufficient resources. So this is what we mean by that. But yeah, so like ultimately, if you want the, let's say, Luna Classic Atom pool in a DEX to have sufficient amounts of each, you have to incentivize somebody to provide Luna Classic, and you have to provide someone to provide Atom so that everyone else can trade between the two. The person that's providing the liquidity would be considered a market maker or a liquidity provider in this case. And to attract those people, you need to incentivize them. And why would I bother putting my money there? Well, if there's lots of trading going on and there's fees being generated, then the liquidity provider gets some of those fees. If there's not much going on, then you simultaneously have less trading of your particular coin, and that liquidity provider is not making any money. So eventually they pull their money out of there, which further worsens the problem. So it's like interesting in crypto. It's like winner take all in that the most prominent coins tend to get the most liquidity because the people who are providing liquidity make the most money. And the flip side is also true. Like if you go to Uniswap or you go to Osmosis or Osmosis Frontier or something like that, and you're trying to get some rare coin, And typically, like if you go to buy a lot of it, like let's say you want $10,000 or $100,000 worth, then you have to really be careful. Bribes and all that came into play, where some of these pools will have incentive rewards in their sort of community pools in the decks, and you can direct some of those rewards towards certain coins or certain liquidity pools. And so if you're like the Luna Classic community, for example, you might decide to provide, I don't know, like $10 million worth of incentive liquidity for, say, Osmosis. And that incentivizes liquidity providers to actually provide more cash there. Now, the bribe part comes in that, let's say you don't have enough governance power, but you want to form a cartel, a group of people that belong to the Luna Classic community, and you want to outbid other coins that are maybe on Osmosis, so that you can get more money into your liquidity pool for your particular coin. So it's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle, and they're called bribes, but really, call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it happens anyway. So what people have realized is that if you create an entire system, like for example the curve convex model, you can create an entire system where the bribes, so to speak, are entirely transparent, and the goal is to get as much voting power as possible to direct like liquidity yields, or whatever you want to call them, incentives, liquidity incentives, to the pool that you want. So something like that is what we're talking about when we're referring to like bribes usually in this context. But like in either case, like, ultimately for some proposal, let's say people have some governance proposal or some sort of thing going on blockchain, your ability to convince everybody else to vote for your shit is really what it's all about, right? So it doesn't matter really what your personal opinion is about something. If you can't convince everyone else to vote for it, then it's as good as dead in the water. And typically money talks. So if people believe they can make more money with voting yes for a proposal, they'll vote yes for it. And if they feel like it might be a net negative for the protocol or something like that, they might vote no for it. At the end of the day, like big money does not care about your individual opinions about like your like philosophies or whatever. If your philosophy doesn't make money in the aggregate, it's likely to lose compared to another vote that makes money for the protocol. So that's a way to look at it, maybe.
Yeah. Is this really interesting way of thinking that you have to assume that all actors or most actors in the space will do whatever makes them the most money at any given time. So you have to think about, okay, well, how does that influence the design of whatever I'm doing? And like what's the value of governance? So it's pretty difficult to determine sometimes what the value of your governance power is, but it becomes much, much easier when it's like tied directly to emissions of tokens and that sort of thing. I mean, if you think about like if you had a blockchain with like a massive, massive community pool or something, but the value of the token is very, very cheap. I mean, like the governance there can unlock quite a lot. If you look at like, I don't know, like Beanstalk. Beanstalk was a stablecoin that existed on Ethereum, and it used like an algorithmic design, which is a bit experimental. But they had one fatal flaw in their protocol, which was you could, if you had like 50% or something of the staked bean, or I can't remember what it was, some threshold, you could actually just instantly fire off a governance proposal. It would immediately execute. So this person flash loaned a fuckload of bean and basically just like drained the whole protocol, like the whole treasury instantly, because of that one error in their code. So yeah, it's like these kind of people are the ones like they're prodding around, they're looking for things to break, they're looking for little doors to access. It's not about like, oh, community governance and like what do we believe in. It's about, no, who can break this thing. They're going to do whatever they can to make the most money as possible. So yeah, it's just like, I don't know. That's just the DeFi way of thinking.
I think you've been quite modest there, Xerox. I think it was you that did the bean exploit, was it not?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a recorded space, so I don't want to, get into it. And there's a bit of money there. But would I use that money to buy Lunc? That's the real question. Why should I buy Lunc with that money? That's the question I'm posing to the community.
Man, you're pretty greedy though, because you've taken the 80 million. What was it, 80 million in the Nomad Bridge hack, and then now you're still looking around for exploits.
Not really the space for this nonsense.
Yeah, we'll not veer into this category here now. But yeah, where were we?
Yeah, I mean, I have spaces where we talk silly and stuff, Sephi, and I think you're referring to a past one, but I'd rather not waste people's time here. Yeah, if anyone would like to come up and ask a question, then feel free. Any thoughts about the merge, reflections or opinions or whatever? We don't know much. We're just reporting whatever we know because we're against the merge. We think that the collapse and the wiping out of the Lunc blockchain is a terrible thing. We've always believed in the independence of the Lunc blockchain and having an economic alliance between them and having parity between them and having some kind of cross-pollination where we can deploy the same apps on either chain. That is what we've always believed in. But to destroy one of them to raise liquidity for the other, I think that is... It sits with me wrong. It sits with me wrong. And it's maybe I'm more personal about it than other people because of all my work and the amount I've donated to burning. And I think I've donated 100,000 plus now to burning Lunc. But
Bruce, you don't believe that? So let's say not enough people go out and buy Luna Classic tokens. Maybe they don't go tell maybe 10 of their friends and family to get some tokens in order to acquire more voting power. They don't move their coins off Binance into wallets to go and vote, right? Isn't it quite possible that a few wealthy characters like Zara here and some other people could just go in there and vote in whatever they wanted? Right? So I think there is a personal responsibility people have to take here. And if they don't like something, they need to go and get adequate coins to vote and make their vote count. Am I wrong?
No, participation is crucial.
Well, I mean, let's run this back a little bit. So there are two aspects of this that have been proposed. The first aspect of this is the merge protocol itself, which is an open, non-custodial, permissionless DeFi protocol. Everything is fully transparent. It's simply deployed onto the blockchain. Anyone can use it. And that allows people to transfer their Lunc across, to deposit it in a vault where it permanently provides LP to the Luna. I guess it's their own DEX. I'm not exactly sure how it works, or if it's something built on top of Astroport. I'm not entirely sure. Haven't asked all the questions. Hadn't had an opportunity. But anyway, there's an incentive there where you're paid to turn your Lunc into Luna, and the incentive seems to come from exchange emissions. Don't know precisely how that's going to work, but it makes sense on a fundamental level, just because exchange emissions are paid out 24/7 to people who are non-permanent LPs. They can leave at any time. So that makes sense. That's the thing that I think is inevitable and is going to happen regardless of what any of us think here. So we just need to accept that. The second thing that's been proposed is the winding down of the Lunc blockchain. The selling, the voting. Firstly, you need to have a proposal and you need to have a vote. But the proposal is the voting for the Oracle rewards pool, which currently counts around $43 million, for that to be liquidated and converted into Luna and deposited in the community pool for Luna, not as a direct theft, but then to be redistributed, to be proportionately airdropped to all of the people who were staking on the old Lunc blockchain. So the exchange people aren't involved. It's simply the people who were staked on the Lunc blockchain, because as users, they have shown their commitment to actually being interested in DeFi, actually depositing their funds on-chain, installing the Terra wallet, interacting with the protocols, having enough conviction to stake for more than 21 days. They've done all these things. They are the core community members, and they are really the people that the Luna community would love to steal. They're the key people. It's not the exchange people that the Luna community wants to take.
But it's really, with crypto though, like you don't really get any of the advantages of like staking rewards. You don't get the advantages of like security. You don't get any of those advantages if you're on a centralized exchange, right? And then some people have like wrapped Luna, that's going to zero, obviously. I don't know why I would think people would think otherwise. And then if you have your your Luna Classic, whatever, on exchanges, and you're not sending that to your wallet to take advantage of like the voting and the yield and everything, then everybody's just sort of eating away your money, essentially, right? Like, but do you think with this merge story, do you think that there's enough power for the people that are for it to make it go through? Like, do you think that there's enough of a coalition?
I don't know exactly how it's going to work, Sefi. You know, I was offered 20,000 Luna to vote yes. So what's that proportionately? So if they think 20,000 Luna is worth 6%, then you could multiply that by around 15, something like 300,000, 340,000 Luna has been seemingly allocated to this. If you assume that every validator is price discriminated based on their voting power, which might not necessarily be the case, because I also have more social power. You know, I have 15,000 followers now, and that can influence money too. It's not just about the vote; it's about the influence over mind. So maybe we could reel that down a little bit and weight it both on voting power and social power, and we can estimate that maybe 200,000 Luna or so has been allocated to this fund. So, you know, that's the situation with the bribes. It's entirely down to the validators accepting this. It's not necessarily anything the community can resist if the validators all say yes, because as we know, most money on any given blockchain is idle money. It's sleepy money. It's sticky money. It's money that isn't really changing. You know, a validator can do just about anything. A validator could raise their commission up to 100% tomorrow, and a very small percentage of people would ever undelegate. You know, most people aren't awake to these things. They don't notice. Most money is sleepy. You know, people are doing things. They're living their lives. They're traveling with their families. They're doing other things. They're not directly committed and dedicated and interested in these things. But yeah, like if somehow the community wakes up to what is happening and there's a strong message to all of the validators, you know, we've said no to any bribes, but if there's a strong message to all the other validators to say, we're not going to tolerate you being bribed. We're not going to tolerate anything like that. We believe in the independence of the chain. And, you know,
there's nothing to prevent sort of backroom dealings, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. If it wasn't clear.
So if it can't be prevented, then how do you play? Like, how do you play this game?
Well, they are. Listen, they are free to do their backroom dealings, but I am also free to expose it. I'm free. I have free speech. I can talk about these things, and that's exactly what I've done in the last 2 days.
Do you have info about specific validators that are, maybe engaging in these shenanigans in the background?
No, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. But look, if I was offered, then certainly everyone else was too.
I'm just conscious we got JG up here, who's leader of the alliance on Terra V2. I'm just wondering what his thoughts on the merge are.
So my main concern is the fake protocol that could be scamming people. That's like where my worry goes more than anything, because we have all these new people who aren't really ready for this type of scam, and they are hungry for new token drops and new coins, and this is how they get got. So to me, the merger is kind of secondary. I want to protect my community and the people listening, and then we can discuss the benefits or pluses of the merger. And I mean, honestly, I think Lunc by itself is a standalone chain. I just want them to retain builders and identity.
But I mean, just curious if the alliance have a official position on the merge yet. You guys have been kind of promising big things on Terra V2. I'm wondering, have you guys got anything to do with merge protocol?
So, we are a mid-ranked validator on Luna. NFT Switch is ranked like 75. And we're not approached by anybody. We're about to try to, if the parity is reached, the skeleton punks and the DAO, we're trying to find a way to include anybody who was over on Luna Classic. And if the market wants to revive there, we will participate with those community members. Like, we don't want to leave anybody out. We think Luna Classic to me was what I fell in love with crypto, to be honest. That UI and UX is like what got me here. The DeFi got me to stay. And now we just have to re-educate these people on a better way to make money. That's all it comes down to.
Great. Maybe Pantera, you still with us? What are your thoughts about the merge? You asked a few questions, but you haven't talked about your own thoughts. Advantages, disadvantages, your mental way up.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It's like build a bridge and then just have a bunch of like wild espionage behind the scenes to to pass proposals to incentivize people to bridge away from one protocol to another. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Somebody with some deep pockets is behind it. So if they're going to pull off all those incentives, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some people in the Luna Classic community that have no idea what is going on at all times. So for them to even use a bridge, I would be shocked if they were able to do that. Yeah, I don't know. But there should be a bridge between Luna and Luna Classic. I don't know why one doesn't exist already. I'm surprised it's taken this long.
There will be soon, but that's we're waiting for Do Kwon to finish it.
I think Pantera raises a really good point. Most Luna Classic people have no hope of ever like navigating a page with multiple buttons and sliders. We should just have one button. If the devs are listening, the merge protocol should just have one button which says merge. That's my piece of advice.
I mean, what I've heard so far is that the UI will be extremely simple and easy to engage with. It's just a case of connecting your wallet, and then, as you say, I think, pretty much you press one button and boom, you've merged. But I think that's all still in development.
Yep, we haven't been told the timeline on this. What I was told is that IBC needs to be open. Presumably, it uses that. That's the.
I'm hearing some interesting news though, Bruce. Just now, I don't know if you paid attention to the. So there's another blockchain. I don't know if any of you know it, but there's a meme coin chain in Cosmos called the Chihuahua chain, or Huahua, HUA. And in their group, they're proposing the addition of a glue module, which is to connect the Chihuahua chain and merge it with Luna and Luna Classic. So it's like a three-way mega merge. Like, look what kind of momentum is happening with these merge ideas. I don't know. Could be interesting.
Like a menage a trois.
Yeah, like a dog and like two types of moon. I don't know. Like, maybe you need to put like a little fire hydrant on the moon, have it piss around periodically, or I don't know what. Do chihuahuas piss? I'm not really sure. But it looks really cool, though. I mean, it's a good idea, the glue proposal. Anyway,
it's really interesting because TFL put out this like alliance module, right, which was supposed to sort of bond chains together. I just wonder if that was like a diversion tactic, because it, from what you're saying, Sefi, and obviously we're talking here about merge protocol, it seems like the opposite is happening, where we've potentially got blockchains merging together. Lots of smoke and mirrors happening here.
Yeah, I think the narrative is getting very confusing. I don't know what to tell people, honestly. It should be pretty cool, though, once the Luna Classic and different Cosmos things are all available on the Terra Station wallet. I don't know that most people in the Luna Classic community, I think some of the YouTubers in Luna Classic have spent more time arguing nonsense as opposed to making videos on, say, how to use the Terra Station wallet and how to vote and how to stake their coins and play, right? Like, or buy NFTs or whatever the fuck. Like, there's a lot of nonsense going on, and it's kind of I don't know, if they don't get their shit together, they're going to wind up having their coin go to zero. That's no good, right? So I think the YouTube crowd in particular, like I was on some guy's page. His name was Stellar Prism, and I don't know, like I'm not sure what he's thinking exactly, but it sounds like he's going on a tirade. There's like birds in the background. He's talking about Lunc DAO. I don't know why he's worried about Lunc DAO, and but he's not educating the community about how to use, let's say, the Terra Classic blockchain. He's not, I don't know, like making NFTs of himself and like maybe, whatever, and like posting them for sale. Like, I don't know, like what are these people thinking? I'm not really sure.
Respectfully, I don't know who that is, if it's your friend or whatever, but I'd rather, focus on the merge and these issues today. I don't know what that person is, but I don't
Well,
know.
he's certainly he's not in favor of the merge. That's for damn sure. He went on a tirade on his Twitter.
Well, he can come in here himself and represent himself. I don't think there's any need to talk
That's
about.
true.
Would anyone else like to come up and ask a question or express your own views on the merge or whatever? We don't know much. We've told you what we know. We've said we're against the merge. But beyond that, there's not much that, personally we can say. We can say we'll vote against it. We can say we'll spread the word.
Is Cephii pro or against merge? Do we know?
Yeah. What is your position, Cephii?
I'm waiting to be convinced. I've been kind of probing the community, asking some questions. I don't know what's going on really. I'm just a complete idiot about this merge thing. So I'm keeping an open mind. I think we'll see if which community can convince me one way or the other, using facts and knowledge or maybe some YouTube videos. Perhaps if someone could make a very funny YouTube video that organizes all these principles together and makes me laugh, I might decide to use my voting power for or against the merge, depending, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, sad to hear that.
Because I think of the merge as like two blockchains coming together. Imagine like a sperm and an egg, right? It's like a conception, and maybe like a new baby can be formed, and the mix of these two things will be like maybe, let's say, for example, one chain has like a bit more of a blue color, one has a bit more of a red color because of their iconography, but you blend them together and now you have an entirely new different icon. And I'm thinking like a little baby chain like gets born, right? We have maybe twins get, what if there are then 4 chains and there's like twins are born or something like this? I'm really optimistic about this kind of idea of like bringing biological mimicry into the blockchain space and sort of like evolving and forming little babies and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know whether you come here to troll or what, but this is an important decision for the Lunc community, and I think we need to get the word out here and spread the word that it's not okay for validators to take bribes. It's not okay for people to vote against Lunc's independence. And there are some situations in which making a joke and breeding blockchains or whatever else, it just feels distasteful because it's a critical point for the community. And I think to realize that, to have a heartfelt connection to the blockchain and everything we've built so far, and the potential future.
You haven't read the protocol, have you? You haven't seen the updates.
I don't really know what you mean, but like,
yeah, the merge is like, imagine 2 pieces of DNA coming together and forming a new strand, like a new organism. That's the idea. I'm not joking. That's not the direction here is to form like a sort of like a conjoined twin type of thing.
I think you've come here to troll.
I think everyone needs to read the actual protocol again. The updates are legit. I think they're very interesting.
Yeah, there is no protocol, so I'm going to have to remove you from speakers. It hasn't been released yet. This is only a few messages. So, let's not pretend we know more than we do, because we're dealing with real people's money here. This isn't isn't a joke. Me personally, I've worked for many, many years to invest in Lunc. So this is a personal, heartfelt thing. Let's not pretend that we know more than we do. All we've seen so far is a Twitter page, a few tweets, and some minimal messages about the developers behind this thing. So, I'm not willing to give people the impression that we know more than we do. As Lunc DAO, we're going to stand for independence. We're going to vote no. But I guess I just feel. I mean, I like you, Sephi, I do, and it's nothing to do with you. I just feel depressed in general, because for me to work for 6 months, to donate all of that money, to grind so long to get staking and delegation opened, to work to promote my validator and everything we're doing for the chain, and then to have that kind of crushed by this proposal, this merge idea, is, I don't know, it hits me in the heart. It's like being stabbed in the heart or something. It's bad. It's not good. And, it's destructive as well, because all of the people who are currently validators, they're going to lose their node. They're going to be proportionately dropped Luna on the new chain for sure, and they might make some money, but they're going to lose their passive income in the long run, beyond staking of Luna. So, and, Terror Rebels and these other people, they're not going to be able to get funding anymore. There's no community pool just for them unless they want to work on Luna too. So a lot of people are really riding on it. Their livelihoods is riding on this quite strongly. And the issue is that in the bear market, when everyone is struggling, when everyone's got quite a low amount of money in their pockets, they are much more likely to accept bribes. So I don't know. I just hope people choose their integrity over a little bit of money or whatever, because there's a beautiful future here in building an independent blockchain. And I think there's a horrible outcome here in dissolving that future completely into nothing, to wiping it out just for some money. When I look back on my own life, I want to think like, I really worked hard to build things. I really worked hard to build the future, and did as well as I could, and worked with a group of people, and we were friends, and we chose the right things, and we made moral choices. I don't want to look back and think, oh, there was that time I built something great, and then suddenly I was bribed by someone. That's just, I don't know, I don't like it. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, but Dao, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the moral imperative for us to sort of put decentralization first and the community on chain. But as a user, I'm quite excited. I'm against the merge, but if it does happen, there's going to be a great opportunity here to try and exploit it and try and find ways to create money and to make money by looking at what's been built. Is there any way to sort of game it? Is there any way to sort of exploit the new mechanism? And this is something I'm all about. So for me, and this is something everybody here can really do. Anybody who's interested in game theory, anyone who's interested in just like working through logically, how can I make the most money out of this? It's something that we can do as a community collectively. But I will do first.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I suppose the only way that I would possibly engage with this thing is if, for instance, there is a way to transfer Lunc across to the Luna blockchain and then get some reward and then put it back into Lunc again, effectively stealing the liquidity out of Luna. Because I think they seem to be assuming on some level that people will stay on the Luna blockchain. And they also seem to be riding on this idea that the Oracle rewards pool will be liquidated. I mean, we're making two assumptions here. We're making the assumption that the DeFi protocol exists, merge protocol exists, and the liquidation of the Oracle rewards pool on Lunc doesn't happen. It's voted out. It's voted no. If that happens, there may be interesting arbitrage situations where we can drain the liquidity out of Luna and into Lunc. And I think that could be interesting, yeah. Maybe there's some realm of possibilities opened up where the protocol's existence works against Luna in a unexpected way. So yeah, I think there's ideas like that.
Can you foresee a situation where Lunc might put a counter proposal on Terra V2 to redirect the community funds into a reverse merge?
I think the fascinating thing about DeFi in general is if we assume there's parity between the chains, somebody, maybe Terra Rebels, maybe the Lunc developers, maybe even you could help, Ryan. We can launch the reverse protocol on Lunc to allow people on Luna 2 to send across their tokens, to lock them in a permanent LP vault, and to gain emissions from Astroport Classic. And I think that's an interesting idea as well. Then the stream goes both ways. Do you know those fishes, Ryan? I've forgotten the name of them. They're the fish that swim up your urethra in the Amazon. You're peeing and it swims up and it has little spines on it. I've forgotten the name of it. I'll remember it later. Anyway, the interesting thing is the fish swims up and you can't pull it out because the spines are only one directional, right? So I think if one protocol exists, then we're having that situation where the fish has swum up the urethra and it can't go back out. But if it exists both directions, then it's going to be an interesting little tug of war, isn't it? Where maybe we end up, maybe by deploying this idea, they end up screwing themselves over because somebody launches the fork of the app on the other chain and it ends up siphoning more liquidity from Luna than to Luna. And I think that's quite fascinating. I think in DeFi, the truth of what people value prevails in the end. And if we look at the two chains now, then Lunc has 4 times the market cap of Luna. So clearly they value it 4 times as much.
There is this thing happening, though, where a lot of people got rich on Luna Classic. They bought the bottom. They made like a 10x or more, right? And as a result of that, they are now very, very wealthy. They're very powerful. And what some people have been doing is they've been acquiring massive amounts of Luna token to try to vote out Do Kwon and to vote out TFL out of the seat of power on Luna V2. So this is another paradigm that's playing out that people should be considering.
I see we've got a couple of people who've jumped up on stage and maybe they want to give an opinion or ask a question. So, Wes, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, we'll take some questions. I don't know how long I want to do it because I don't know, feeling a bit depressed about the whole thing, to be honest. After working so long, like I've been working my ass off on this thing for like 6 months. So like to hear other validators are accepting bribes and like this protocol is going to launch and like it's just like Jesus, how hard can I work for how long and like still have it blown up? You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna fight, but I didn't sleep last night after finding this shit out. Like, so I don't know.
Well, I think that I can speak for the majority of the Lunc community out there. I mean, not necessarily, but whenever I say we're a decentralized community, we have government's implementation. We have a lot of stuff out there, and I think that a lot of people like that have invested. And I don't mean just bought in to buy in. I think a lot of our holders are actually investors that see the potential in the decentralized aspect of what we're doing. I mean, whenever we had the spike, whenever we actually had the government's implementation pass, the proposal pass, whenever we saw that and we saw that spike, I mean, that said a lot. And now that we're seeing these exchanges go down, and BlockFi just went down today, supposedly. Have all these things going on. Everybody's running to, CZ, Binance. Everybody's running to these centralized exchanges, and we're standing over here like, we're decentralized. We're not going to go over these platforms and exchanges. We're going to try to bring that to our blockchain. And I think that, and I really do think that the utility aspect of what we're trying to build right now is going to say a lot, and I'd say Q2 of 23, and that's just my personal opinion. I hope that the roadmap goes as planned, but back to what I was saying about being decentralized, we are all under the same impression that this is decentralized. We need to keep it that way. And when we talk about merging Luna and Lunc, you know, there's a lot of plays that we can generalize in blockchain protocol that we can both profit from one another, especially being in the Cosmos ecosystem. I don't think that a merge, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think that necessarily an actual merge is necessary for this to happen. And for the merge itself to even be on the table right now, I mean, we're arguing about a burn tax. You know, we dropped the burn tax. Now we're, you know, trying to up the burn tax. Are we going to lower the burn tax again? I know we're trying to take advantage of the IBC opening up and all that, which is good. But at the same time, I think that what I've learned throughout a lot of this is people confuse people intentionally. And whenever there's too much confusion and a concept that is fairly simple, I think that that's a problem. And I think that in regards to merge, I think that causing a little bit of this confusion for, and this is, I'm not saying that anybody is not intelligent on blockchain or anything like that, but what I am saying is that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what's going on. They're just kind of liking this decentralized aspect. And
what's the feeling on the ground with regards to merge amongst the Lunc community? Are they generally feeling positive, negative, or just confused?
I mean, I would say confused, because there's a lot of people out there that rely on influencers. And just today, I do watch a lot of videos. I listen a lot. I listen to a lot of Twitter spaces. I listen to pretty much anything you can think of all day long in regards to cryptocurrency. And in my personal opinion, I would say that there's just straight confusion. I mean, this is kind of a curveball out of nowhere. Talking about a merge, 1.2% burn tax. We just changed the burn. We haven't even had the big burn for Binance yet. I mean, is that not in itself confusion? So
no, I also want to say I think the changing the tax again is bullshit. Like that, changing the tax like back and forth, that is a great way to potentially lose Binance. And probably
agreed.
Binance are one of our greatest assets now. Like for them to, I mean, like I remember when we were campaigning for them to do the tax, like I was making a load of written letters to Binance, like Binance, you need to do this and this and this. You've ignored the community and stuff. And they eventually like cracked and did it, which was fantastic. But it took us so long to get there. It took us so long for them to finally implement the tax, and then to like just like screw it around and change the numbers 24/7. That's a good way to let CZ know that like the community isn't serious. Like we're just tweakers constantly changing things. You know, we have to stick to one plan and keep to it. Otherwise, the rest of crypto will not respect us.
Exactly. That's what I was saying about confusion. There's a lot of confusion out there in regards to it, and you know, major exchanges like that. Who, I mean, like everyone also says, you know, we necessarily can't blame them, because you know a lot of this is profit. A lot of people are going to try to get their profit however they can. They also have to be very delicate in the ways that they put this out there. And so, you know, whenever we stop and think about it, the concept of being able to decentralize everything away from someone having that much influence. I mean, I just feel that I just really feel that anything that's coming from any exchange and us being decentralized shouldn't have any influence. I think that, like you said, the changing of the burn tax is bullshit. And pardon my language, I apologize. It is bullcrap. And the reason I say that personally is because, like you said, it causes the world out there to see that we are not on the same page, number one. That, you we can't even wait for the big burn to come in before we try to implement a bigger one. Now they don't necessarily have to do this, so we should all say thank you to CZ for that. But at the same time, there is blockchain protocol. In my personal opinion, and maybe someone else can explain this. But if you have code, your coin is a code, and they have this code, and then we change that code, and now I'm being all hypothetical in this, and we change that code to be this, but they don't implement it, isn't that like they have to by blockchain protocol, regardless of whether it's on or off, implement that burn. And they're, in my personal opinion, advocating specific people to also play in that is improbable. But blockchain protocol states that that's possible. I mean, if somebody can clarify that for me, that'd be great.
What say you, Wes? Wes, I think you wanted to jump in there.
Do you mean Yidda, Wes?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. No, I just totally agree on what Lunc Dao just said. I think the inconsistency is a huge problem. Like, you'll see investors just fall off like leaves in winter, like you know what I mean. So I think being consistent is really, really key. And I thought the 1.2% tax was pretty good. I mean, we saw the prices jump up, and as soon as we changed it to 0.2, you saw a lot of you saw a lot of pressure on the share price, right? um, and I think that was a mistake, because you have some, you have CEXs just charging people over 10%, 20%, and we don't say anything about that. And to help Lunk, if you pay extra 1.2%, I think that's just pretty legit. And also, it makes Slunk a little bit, in my view, and I know a lot of people think that the 1.2% is having the burn tax by itself is negative to the cryptocurrency itself. But I sort of argued the opposite, just because you have a product and you're paying extra for it. It makes it a high value product. It doesn't necessarily make it like a less of a value, in my opinion. But I might be wrong. But that's just my
Yeah,
thought.
we can go back and forth on the merits and the negatives on a burn tax. My personal view would be that it kills on-chain activity because no one wants to do anything. No one's
That's
starting to
absolutely
interact
true.
with any protocols, because every time they interact, they're losing 1.2% of their tokens. So, but at the same time, it obviously does create a narrative, which is drawn in a very large community. And as you say, when it was reduced down, that had a negative impact on the token price. So we can definitely go back and forth on that, and I think everyone will have their own opinion. Just wondering what your view is on the kind of early information coming out about the merge.
The merch. That's actually. I was listening to everybody's thoughts on that, and for me to really speak on it, I have to have legit information, right? Right now, it's just more of like he says, she said, right? There's no actual document that we can look through and really see the pros and cons of the merge itself. So that by itself is a problem. You're just creating this buzz. I don't know if this is like something that to drive up like I don't know if it is like something that they're using to have a lot of users or attract potential customers. But
No, just to clarify, like we know just as much as you. We've seen the Twitter page with the merge protocol thing. We've seen the rough outline of how it'll work. The way people are going to get more than they put in through decentralized exchange emissions to incentivize the locking of liquidity. We've heard the rumors about the different proposals to shut down the Luna blockchain and effectively merge it in by proportionally airdropping Luna to the old Lunc stakers. We've heard all of that stuff, but in actual practicality, we don't have a launched app yet. We don't have proposals up for voting yet. There's nothing like that. So right now, my incentive for starting this space is just to say, hey, no, this seems to be something that is being planned, and also just to have people say to their validators, if you accept a bribe of any kind to vote yes on this, we are going to stake away from you, because we don't tolerate you being paid money to vote on our behalves when it's against the best interests of the chain. So that's my reason for starting this.
I think I'm right with you on that, but it lacks a lot of information, a lot of detailed information.
Yeah, I think definitely respect to Coach, because he's just giving out information that he's got, trying to get ahead of this thing, trying to protect the community, bring some unity together. So yeah, big respect to that. And I think you're taking exactly the right approach in my opinion, which is to wait for more information before forming a firm judgment.
Exactly.
You're one of those people.
You're making. Otherwise, you're making a decision. Yeah.
I was going to say, you're one of those people you have a high level of discernment, though. When the information comes out, you'll be able to operate on it. You'll be able to wait for a decision. What I don't want to happen is for validators to be bribed, or whoever to be bribed, in terms of, that means incentivized by paying them Luna to vote a certain way. I don't want that to happen. And then I don't want those people to start promoting, that the merge is a good idea. This is the only way we can save the chain. For them to start messaging based on their incentives of being paid. And then for the average person, which isn't you're not the average person, you're someone more intelligent than most. But for the average person to be fooled by that. So I'm speaking out preemptively out of moral responsibility. Like, I have to now to warn people about what might be coming, even if it's not coming, even if it's different from what we anticipate. Be aware that these things can easily be passed. Like, wherever there's a market inefficiency, wherever there's any kind of inefficiency or incentive to produce a DeFi protocol like Merge Protocol, chances are sooner or later it will get made. So these things are worth learning about in advance, especially for people who have come on chain for the first time or bought cryptocurrency for the first time. They don't know about these things. They're not aware of the risks. And as it happens in front of their eyes, they might miss it.
No, I completely agree. I think it's the right thing to do, but you don't. At the same time, you don't want to be the guy that cried wolf, right? So, and I mean, this is. I understand you're in a pickle in a sense that you have like some kind of moral obligation to let investors know what's coming, but at the same time you just don't want to be that guy that cried wolf, right? Like this is nothing that is set in stone. There's no proposal.
I don't think that's the case in this scenario. I mean, there's been information circulating in Telegram and Discord groups that this is a very real thing. So yeah, I don't think it's a crying wolf situation necessarily.
I think that it is agreed that we should definitely.
Right now, but as the time goes, every time like DAO gets some kind of a thing, like he just comes out and says, "Oh, by the way, like this is not good. By the way, like you by doing this, you probably are fudding it a little bit, right? Like
we are decentralized. That's the point."
Right, but if you're talking about like bribes and everything, then an investor like me, I'm going to be like, holy shit, they don't have their shit together. They're bribing now. I'm
You
not
don't.
Well,
investing.
no, what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is that when this kind of stuff is brought to the light, before it gets to the point bringing it to the light is past, then we are a decentralized community, and us being a decentralized community need information, and the only way to actually get information is to get on here to spaces, because it's very hard to communicate in areas where we're not wanted to communicate. So this is why we get on here. We're a decentralized platform, and we want, in my personal opinion, everyone to be aware of the situation, because personally, I didn't know anything about this until earlier. And let me tell you, I'm all day, every day, Luna Classic. And so,
Right.
for me to just hear about it is kind of out there. So, I mean, I'm glad that this is being brought to the light. That way we can actually delve into what needs to be done, come back to a space and discuss it then. Personal
No,
opinion.
I'm not disagreeing with what you just said. I'm just saying that I'm just mentioning that you don't want to be the guy that cried wolf, in a sense that, I mean, he's not literally doing it right now, but I'm just saying, you don't want to be looked at in the future. You see what I'm saying? So,
But if it's
uh,
not done, then in the future, if it had happened and no one had said anything about it, then everyone would be looking like a fool. So,
They,
we like I said, we're decentralized, and it's good that we have community discussions, because in all reality, this Twitter space. Anyone can get on here, and anyone can have a voice in so many words, and that's the point of this. That's the point of this discussion. I think, in my personal opinion, I'm not trying to
right.
rain on the actual purpose of this, but I'm just saying that we want it to be brought to the light. We want players to speak truth. Come to the light.
Oh no, absolutely, and I support that, and I advocate for that. And as an investor, like, I want to know if somebody has some kind of information. I want to know, right? That goes without saying. It was just a minor suggestion that I just kind of threw out there, but it doesn't mean that that's what he's doing. I just want to, move on from that and just, concentrate on the actual thing that is happening, which is, now we're talking about the merge protocol, and I'm just saying that we don't have a lot of information, and thus, like, making some kind of judgment is just, I don't know. For me, I don't think it's wise. But it's obviously, this is not a financial advice, right?
The
But I'm not disagreeing with Lung Dao, what Lung Dao is doing, and I think it's an awesome thing that he's doing. He's just coming to the community and just saying, "Hey, this is what I think is going on, and what are your thoughts? What are your criticisms?" Right? So, in that aspect, I completely agree. But to say that, like, okay, verbatim, like, this is what they're doing, this is what they're actually about to do, without any, like, any proposal or anything, that could mislead any investor, in my opinion. But I don't agree. I don't disagree with what Lunk Dao is doing. It's just, let's just, be mindful of how we're approaching this specific issue.
yeah,
And
don't exaggerate either. We've been fully objective here today. We've just said this is what we know,
right.
and as a validator, we're going to stand against it. We're going to vote no on anything, and if anything like this is going on, then just be warned and say you're definitely against it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, but then again, like, I don't have the full information, so, like, for me to say I'm against it or I'm for it is just,
well, I think
I think it's premature.
the general principle of the merge protocol, the general principle of it. Forget what it does, how it works, what time it's going to come on. The general principle of it is to merge. So if we know that there's a massive probability that this is going to, even, you know, be put out there, because it's already being talked about, obviously, not just here, but in, major areas. So if the general principle of this is to merge, then, it is a discussion worth having. And, I feel that, it should happen. And so, which way are we going? How are we going to go about it? It doesn't matter how this works. It's the general principle that it's built. It's being built possibly to destroy our decentralized community and make it not decentralized. That's just my personal opinion, and I just feel that everyone should speak up on it, because, man, there's not a whole lot of decentralization out there anymore, and we have a Ferrari. I mean, we have a Ferrari, and we have an opportunity. And when I see the merge probability, I think of having to give half away of that Ferrari. That you don't want to sell that Ferrari. You know what I mean? You want to keep that Ferrari.
I totally agree, but let me pose this one question, and I want to hear everyone's thoughts. I'm not trying to hijack the Longdale's room, but okay, so Lunc is not the first one to split, right? Like to do a split. You have Ethereum that split to Ethereum Classic, and you have the actual Ethereum, and now they're working on they've been working on it, and they did the split already. I don't know if that was like a legit split, but anyway, have we had any successful token or cryptocurrency that split and still maintained their status? If there is none, then what makes us so different than the others? I think that's a.
We were a top 3 coin. We were a $60-something billion.
We were, yes. Like
company,
I'm not disagreeing.
And
I'm not disagreeing on that.
Sorry, guys. Can we keep it merge related? Because if you want to have a general discussion about Lunc or Luna, we can do that in like 1,000 other spaces. But just like, personally, I just want to say, like, this appears to be happening. Apps appears to be being developed. There's a proposal being flung around in the background through validator channels. So just like, be alert. It's not in any way FUD. I think it's a positive thing. Like, I think communicating clearly what you know is a positive thing, and having that they want them to vote against any potential merge is a good thing. I think it's all a good thing. There's no like horror story here. And also, I think people misunderstand the nature of blockchains. There is always lobbying going on. There is always bribing going on. Whenever there's any vote on any governance proposal, there are people who message in the background to Telegram, Telegram DMs, Twitter DMs. Please, can you vote for this? We'll give you this in exchange. That's just the nature of blockchain. It's like a bribe economy, if you like. That's how it works. People message, they vote on things for reciprocation later. That's just the nature of it. To point out that some bribing is going on or something like that, that is like garden variety blockchain business. It's just what happens all of the time. It's not a bad thing. So when we talk about like bribing or something like that, that is like the nature of blockchains. Everyone has skin in the game. Everyone has a financial incentive. If a bribe exists and say a validator is bribed, they won't accept, because, like, I'll give you an example. If a validator, and if I say to a validator, will you accept $1,000 to vote on this certain proposal, but the proposal is really bad for the blockchain, they're never going to say yes, because they're a validator. They operate a node. They have the political image of having voted on that thing that was destructive for the whole chain as a whole, and also having skin in the game themselves, running a node, earning commissions. If it's destructive to the chain, that is really bad for them in the long run. So they're not just going to accept any bribe. To accept a bribe in the first place means that it's probably going to be plus EV for the whole chain, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So validators in general are like a bribe economy. People are always messaging in the background, trying to get things done, trying to maximize value from themselves. It's like raw capitalism. It's just raw, unfiltered capitalism, and financial incentives are the king there. So don't misunderstand that. Like, that happens all the time. There's no FUD there. There's no FUD when it comes to bribing. That's the nature of every single blockchain.
I think it's also the nature of traditional finance as well.
Fair enough, Lunc.
Yeah, you can think of like a very simple example of bribes would be maybe Chase Bank offers you 2% on your savings account, and then Citibank comes along and offers you 2.5%. They're basically trying to bribe you to move your savings account from one bank to another, and it's just it's the same principle.
Yep. Call it a reward, call it a gift, call it whatever you like. The terminology of bribe and cartels and things like that just emerged on the blockchain because it's quite funny, I think. Like, there's funny terms thrown around to make each other laugh, and like this idea of everyone is a degenerate, gambler aping into things and stuff. It's just like the humor of it.
I got you.
But yeah, does anyone have any questions about the merge or thoughts about it, reflections? Again, we're not saying it's definitely going to happen. We're not saying it's going to happen in a particular way. We're just saying, be alert, be aware. There are financial incentives for these things to happen. So, make your opinion known and make sure that you're alert to anything potentially happening so you can be involved in governance.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'll be watching out for will be, given the information that you've provided, is will any validators start promoting this? And I think that'd be an indication that they've probably, had some backhand deal to promote the merge.
Absolutely. I think things to watch out for are validators being pro-merge, projects being pro-merge. For anyone involved in, say, some of the organizations involved on the blockchain, for them to be pro-merge. Also, I think something to be mildly aware of is if anyone is asked if they are pro or for merge and they refuse to answer, if they just maintain silence, then probably there might be something going on there as well. Because if anyone cares for the independence of Lunc as a blockchain, who really wants the future of Lunc to be thriving as an independent chain, they are going to say no. I'm not going to accept the merge. I'm not going to accept the winding down of this chain. The killing of the Oracle rewards pool, the winding down of validators, anything like that. They're going to be, maybe not as vocal and in some ways kind of flamboyant and brash as us. I have quite a colorful personality on Twitter, obviously. They're not going to be as loud as us, but they will state in a tweet or two that, if there is a vote, we're going to say no. So I think Ryan is very right. Like, be alert to this stuff. Be alert to anyone subtly pushing for this merge.
All right. Quick question though. Yes, I want the independence, but at the same time, right now we're basically heading towards, if not, we're already in liquidity crunch, right? If merging it provides enough liquidity, then how do you perceive that?
I think it depends entirely on what the deal is, right? So right now, we've heard about things like...
And that's actually the exact point, right? It depends on the deal. The devil is in the details, right? So that's what I'm just waiting for. See, I'm not going to dismiss it, just the fact that I have this, egocentric or somewhat of like, oh, okay, like I wanted to be this way, and therefore it should be this way, without being mindful of what's going on outside of your own world, right? There are people that want to see this go up because they lost a lot of money, and you're one of them. I'm hip, uh, but you're one in a thousands, right? Um, and you don't know, like, what other people, well, what their situation is. So I'll just wait, and that's
Also, I
I'm
think
not
that I agree
I'm
whenever
not
you say the devil is in the details, and
right.
I agree. But at the same time, we've also got to take into consideration the entire market on a broad spectrum, because a lot of this stuff has happened in regards to Bitcoin going down. And so, when will we see Bitcoin and Ethereum go up? When will we see, other projects start to gain more liquidity? I think that the rise in staked coins, I think that we have good liquidity in the market, even though, to be honest with you, I don't think that we should be keeping our coins out there in exchanges, in my personal opinion. But I think that a lot of it, does depend on the deal. But I think that also it depends on the broad aspect of the crypto market in itself. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, you made I think you made a very good point, but at the same time, like, that's speculation, right? Like, you're still thinking about, oh,
As
okay,
is
like,
all.
what's the liquidity? Oh, right, everything is just, pretty much speculation. I understand that, but at the same time, you're hoping that just because, like, the big three or like the big two are pumping, therefore you should see more liquidity coming towards Lunc, right? I get that.
Well,
Like,
that's
yeah,
any project.
you're probably gonna get let's say 5x on that. Okay, like, just this is just like, this is great, but at the same time, once you merge it, you probably could push it another five. I know these are extreme scenarios, but I just wanted, like, so basically you're crippling the ability to pump, in a sense, right? If you're getting liquidity from another asset during, like, this bearish time, when
No, I think that
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that the reason that all of this has occurred, and that when the collapse did happen, when Three Arrows Capital, when all these things did occur, it was basically when Bitcoin started to drop from its all-time high. And Bitcoin dropped from its all-time high, and I'm sure that everybody can agree, fairly quick. I mean, it might have, on paper looked like, but, we all watched it drop fairly quick. So, I mean, when that happened as fast as it did, I mean, there was people crunching numbers. We're talking about crunching numbers. And so I think that's all I'm saying is that once we start to see a little bit more flow of liquidity, because the reason I say Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the only reason I say that is because those are the two dominant aspects of crypto. So once those start to gain more liquidity, I think that a lot of projects in the market are going to start to see liquidity flowing in. So when we sit here and say we have a liquidity problem, everybody has a liquidity problem.
Guys,
It's how
guys, I think we're just veering away from the merge a little bit here, and again getting into more broad topics, and which is, we can save for another space. I'm seeing Anne has joined the space, and she's been sat patiently with a hand up. So I'm just wondering, maybe we can hand over to Anne for a fresh perspective.
Yeah, maybe Anne will be one of the last few questions. sometimes with these spaces, it's like people can stay on topic for an hour and a half, then it just seems to veer off wildly. And at that point, you need like an after party space, a spin off space. It's more appropriate. We want to keep it here to just down to business and what we know and objective facts. Anyway, Anne, go ahead.
Thank you. I know I'm not as flamboyant as you guys all are. I'm just myself, being a nobody, whatever. But I think we're talking about nothing actually. There's something dropped out of the air. Nobody's talked about actually whatever this merged thing
And you
is
the beginning of the space because we outlined it in full.
Yeah, no, I'm just hopped in right now, but I'm we talked about this in another space and in our own Lunar Classic space, and I think we have to stop this because it's really confusing. Nobody knows what we're talking about. There are no plans for whatsoever. There are no actually plans. It's only voting things. Then at once there's an how do you say it? A Twitter page with 5 tweets about the merge. Who has made that page? I don't know. So can we please stop talking about it until further notice?
So we want to wait till it gets much bigger and more certain.
And it's always
here's why I don't really discuss things on scenarios, because scenarios will lead to another scenario, so it just never it's endless. But I sort of agree with what Anne said in the beginning, but yeah, just that's all.
Sometimes it's worth talking about things. It's not any kind of FUD. It's like, there is a plan to do this. There's a DeFi protocol apparently being built to let the community be loud and say, we don't want any kind of merge. We want to remain independent. That's all I've done. I've said in my tweets, I want Lunc to remain independent. That has been my vision since back in May. And I think the reason for speaking about it, Anne, is that many people here are brand new. They have invested in the last few months. They don't know about the history of the chain. They don't really know about the crash. They don't know about the work we invested to build it back up. They don't know about Terra Rebels putting all of this work in. They don't really care if Lunc remains independent or not. They have no real investment. They're just here to flip money. And for me to speak out is to say that, we need to defend that. If there is a proposal that rises up and goes to voting, we need to make sure that everyone is aligned and everyone is going to vote no for that, because there's more here at stake than just flipping quick money. There's enormous sunk costs of money, of time, of emotional investment. For me, I've donated like £110,000 for burning Lunc now, and endless time to this thing. So that's the reason to speak loudly. It's just to say that this is something worth fighting for. We want to maintain the independence. It is absolutely true, and we've already covered this in depth, that we don't know the full details. We don't even know when or what exactly. But at the same time, it's worth keeping your ears perked up a little bit and thinking, if a validator or a person starts speaking very strongly pro-merge, maybe there's something going on in the background. Maybe they've been bribed or whatever. I don't know. It's just worth paying attention to. And I think from my perspective, if I hear a few things, a plan like this, if I'm offered a bribe, at that point, I'm going to say, let's be careful, because if we're not careful, if we don't notice the slow moment-to-moment transition in the community, then things could get bad. So for me, it's about protecting the blockchain. It's about doing the right thing. It's about giving everyone the right information and helping this to remain the vision that we laid out back in May, for this to be an independent blockchain, for us to upgrade the chain, for us as a community to build together, to reach parity, to connect to other Cosmos chains, for Luna to deploy some of the same decentralized apps here as they can, and for everyone to be happy. And anything that seems to oppose that vision is, in my opinion, a bad thing. So, I'm standing absolutely against the merge, and I'm not going to let anyone try and slip this one through, because these things always happen in the back channels to start with. They start with. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think to Anne and to Wes,
Can
you
I
were
say
saying.
just one more thing? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
interrupting
sure,
you.
go ahead.
Sethi, why are you on your page? Why are you being everyone is having you highly how do you say it in English? Are highly respecting you for your knowledge, for your accountability, for lots
So
of
what happened?
good things, and you posted a tweet about a terrible picture of Do Kwon with big muscles on your page, and let's with a
That's an image that's been floating around the Discord and Telegram communities. So I'm trying to find out what this initiative is. Why are people posting this, and maybe getting
okay.
some secret knowledge about why they have this weird, like, muscle bound Oriental man. I don't think it's Do Kwon. It's like some sort of I don't know what it means.
This is just like it's just random people making funny images or whatever. You
Hmm.
can.
Well, if I was you, I wouldn't um I wouldn't put that on my Twitter page.
Oh no, Do thought it was kind of funny though, but
Yeah,
I
I
think they're
should
trying
be
to make
stay
fun of him.
neutral. If I were you, I stay neutral because
Oh, me? Oh, I'm
yes,
definitely not
definitely.
neutral.
No, maybe not neutral, but not if you post that stuff on your Twitter page with um writings beneath it. You wrote something under it, um like a question. I just don't remember, but like a question: who is
Yeah,
this or
it's
what?
to get feedback from the decentralized community.
Oh,
Mm,
come on, man! It's just a bit.
okay.
It's just a bit of fun. I don't know where it came from, but it's been circulating around Discords and Telegram, and everyone's found it funny. So it's just like a joke.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't understand jokes that much because of my autism. So, if you explain it's a joke, then I understand it.
Yeah.
So sorry. So sorry. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
Um.
Like me, it's just a meaningless bit of fun that Sephi's having.
Okay. Okay. Then it's all right. I'm so sorry, but we. You know why I'm a little bit. Oh no, I can't say that word. I'm a little bit tied up because I think we fought so hard to be independent and independent of being independent of TFL and that kind of things, and then um, mm, working together for me, and I think a lot of people is okay, but merge is not. Um, is not a thing that most people would like, I think. So that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. I'm sorry I interrupted someone, and
That's okay, Anne. Yeah, I mean, I think
thanks for letting me speak.
I think you're on the same page as Lunc Dow here and Coach in terms of being against the merge. But what I would say is we're not talking about nothing here. For those in the spaces that don't know me, I was quite entrenched within the original Luna community, and in Telegram and in Discord, we're seeing very credible plans being thrown around here. So I don't think we're talking about nothing. I think that obviously the public information that's out there, and even the information in sort of the back channels is quite scant at the minute. But there's definitely there's definitely plans afoot. So I don't think it's worth sort of dismissing this out
Gang,
of
gang,
hand
what's going on?
as something that isn't real at this point.
My bad, I was working on a project.
Sorry.
Yeah, and we just had an
Yo,
indication
Millie
on
is
one of the
mad.
posts from it's kind of hot off the press. Had an indication from SCV Security that they're potentially looking at auditing contracts. So that suggests that they might be a little bit further along than we'd previously anticipated.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
let's distinguish here between information and acting upon the information. There is some information, but at the same time, there's not enough to act upon it. So there's no reason for FUD or FOMO. In fact, I've even heard a lot of people saying, like, I'm going to invest a lot now because, you know, if I invest a lot in Lunc now, I'll be able to transfer that to Luna and gain way more.
What do you do,
So there are
Black
people
Ranger?
saying
Let's
that
get
as
it,
well.
man.
And I
What the
say to
hell
them,
these
like,
boys
no,
talking about with this Loop
don't
merge,
invest
man? They wasting
in
their
Lunc
time, ain't
on
they?
the basis of
They
that
talk
because
about
it's
Loop
not a certainty
merge.
yet.
Come on, man.
Right? So there are many people on both sides.
These
And
people don't
my
even
advice
got
to anyone here
100.
is, like,
Come on, man.
don't act upon so little information. Make a more reasoned
Where
choice.
is that?
Don't just because of the basis of a Twitter page or like some protocol is building something or some rumor about a proposal or some validator said
These
they've been
boys
offered a
don't even
bribe
got
or something like that.
150
That's not enough
followers, man.
information. That is like
What are they
normal
doing?
on the blockchain.
What are they doing?
All of those things
Like
are
and
normal on the
subscribe,
blockchain.
champ.
People are building stuff all of the
You already
time.
know
And
how
people
I bring
talk
the
about what
energy,
they're building
man.
all the time. People do bribes all of the time. These things are like garden variety, everyday happenings on every blockchain. At the same time, you know, running a page like this and wanting the best for the blockchain, I'm going to use my freedom of speech, especially having invested so much time and emotion and energy. I'm going to use my freedom of speech to talk loudly and say, you know, be wary because, you know, we've seen before that proposals can get snuck through. You know, by the time a proposal comes around, the validators have already been messaged in the background and offered something juicy for themselves, and then suddenly it's voted universally yes.
Bribed,
and you're like,
man.
what the hell has happened?
Pay the people so
And
they
the
don't gotta
little
get
man
bribed,
has almost
Luke
no
Dow.
possibility to
Don't you
speak
work
out
for
and
Do
refuse
Kwon,
it because,
baby?
you know, it's
Pay them
the
people,
money.
man. No, you work for Do Kwon, man.
Can you clarify
Boss
for
man,
just a moment
Do
your
Kwon.
position? So does LuncDAO take the position of freedom of speech ultimately? In other words, if
There's people
I
out here that's
delegate
worshiping
with
my boy
LuncDAO, does that mean that you are preserving
You
the
still
principles of
holding
freedom of
a
speech?
Terror Luda classic bag like
Can I
and
get your
subscribe,
assurance
man.
on that?
I don't even got my
Absolutely.
light on,
we
y'all.
are the
I'm here.
validator who will always be
just got
honest
off work.
and always defend. Ed Kim has said it
recorded a
before. He said in one of his
door-to-door
videos
video
when he
for
was
you
interviewed,
guys.
he said, I see LuncDAO as the guardians of the Lunc blockchain. And that's was really nice to hear because we see it the same way. We are the guardians of the Lunc blockchain. And that means defending the principles that the blockchain stands for. Everything, you know, in cryptocurrencies, the complete freedom of money, decentralization, permissionlessness, you know, an open, transparent protocol, a decentralized community where everyone has a voice, everyone can speak, everyone can come in one of these spaces. You know, I will tell you, you know, here's the information I have. It doesn't mean act upon it. It doesn't mean do anything. It doesn't mean go buy more Lunc or sell Lunc or anything like that. It's just like, you know, here's the situation. And as a person who's been involved in blockchain technology now for, you know, 10 plus years,
so let's stop this right here.
I think that many people here are brand new.
Okay, we get the point, man. Merge protocol. I had no clue what the hell they was talking about for the last hour. You know what I'm saying? But I was tuning in with the family, tuning in with the gang, you feel me? And really, really, you know, I haven't done a Terra Luna Classic video. So in the midst of me actually editing and putting together a Terra Luna Classic video, I seen LuncDAO actually start a live with the merge protocol. I was already doing a little bit of research, and we see Terra Luna Classic actually do a little mini pump up 2%. You feel me? So it all turned out well, man. But y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about Terra Luna Classic, man. Are you bearish? Are you bullish, man? Where do we go from here? You feel me? Because right now, this is the chance for you to be kind of like putting your portfolio together. You know what I'm saying? Having your meme coins, your community tokens. Well, I'm not even gonna call them meme coins. I'll call them community tokens. Having your community tokens. Also having your portfolio set up to where you have your community tokens, you got your layer 1s, layer 2s, you got your storage tokens. However you set up your portfolio, this family is now the time you need to really What was that? This is hold on, let me close my door. This is the time that we really need to be putting our portfolio together. Hold on, family. What that was about. We need to be putting our portfolio together, man, and I broke both of my headphones. That's what I'm saying. I done broke both of my headphones. But yeah, we need to be really putting our portfolios together, man, and taking advantage of these dips. You feel me? Because right now, you know what I'm saying, we can't time the bottom. We never know when we might get these generational prices again, man. If we could take a look at some of these cryptos on the top 100, and it looks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even so many more of the cryptos are looking to bounce back after having a rough start to the day, because we seen the Chinese Taiwan flick, and they literally was trying to take their heads off during the protest, family. So again, you feel me? I don't even look at the prices no more at this point. I'm just enjoying the crypto space. I'm enjoying the drama. I'm enjoying what it has to offer. And most importantly, I'm enjoying this opportunity to learn. Because one thing about crypto, what it does is it gives you a chance to learn on a broad scale of the macro environment. I mean, you're not, what you figure out in crypto is that you cannot just focus on crypto. You feel me? You got to focus on so many other narratives that actually control the narrative of crypto. So, you know what I'm saying? Stay green so you can grow. You know what I'm saying? An old wise man told me that, stay green so you can grow. And shout out to the people that's showing up to the stream, man. I'm doing more streams more often. You feel me? I'm trying to get the live thing kicking off, man. And hopefully y'all can definitely support the channel and support the content. And as I continue to bring value and alpha, you feel me, we'll just have to grow together, man. But I'm definitely about to do some more research on some new narratives. I'm going to bring some new narratives to the crypto space. Some things that I will personally be doing some research off of, and also I'm looking up to some guys in the crypto space like Miles, man, who really puts out those crypto narratives and kind of like point you in a direction of some of the projects you can actually be going to look into. But I did a poll, man. I want everybody to go to that poll and vote. You feel me? In the next bull cycle, what are you most bullish on? Chainlink, Polygonmatic, or QNT Quant? And shout out to all the Lunc family that did show up to the live. I apologize for cutting it short. I was almost going to fall asleep. Guys. I apologize. You feel me? I got attention deficit disorder, and I was really trying to soak in the knowledge. But then when that lady started speaking, it really did. I didn't know what the hell she was going into. But again, a lot of drama going on with the SBF and BitBoy Kevin O'Leary situation, the threesome right there, and then also Binance trying to prove that it has the official reserves, and then Binance doing some crazy stuff with the Bitcoin. But I'm going to probably do another video at the end of the day, at the end of the night. If y'all don't see me again tonight, you'll probably see me tomorrow morning. But yeah, shout out to everybody that did show up to the stream. Let me see if you have any more questions before I actually leave. He said bullish in the long run, anything ISO 222. Yes, sir. We love our ISO. Shout out to my H-bar barbarians, my quantitics. I don't even know what to call quantism, quantum, man. Shout out to, Ant-Man, my quantum people, you know what I mean? And also my chain link people, man, and my Lunc people, and of course my Elon Mars people, and everybody in the family in the chat that's been going crazy, man. Make sure y'all support the content creator. But again, if you want to go watch the rest of the Twitter space with Lunc DAO, I'm pretty sure they're still rambling on about this merge protocol thing. Let me know what y'all think about the merge, man. Are you for it or against it, man? You know what I'm saying? Potentially the Terra, the Luna merge could bring utilities and all these different projects and developers that can become part of the ecosystem, and then the IBC and the whole Cosmo thing. But then you got the Lunc community, which is extremely strong and extremely resilient against the bullshit. So shout out to y'all, man, because again, the most important thing that I picked up from this Twitter space is if you don't stand for nothing, then you fall for anything. And shout out for y'all for standing up for the Terra Luna Classic community, man. I think that the community will take this project very far to new heights, because from what I've noticed since I've been covering the project is that the community is extremely strong. So we're going to continue to spread that positivity and awareness. Yeah, man. And that's pretty much what I have for you guys, man. Like I said, I'm gonna do a couple more edits, work on a couple more edits, and then hopefully drop another video by the end of the day. Oh, y'all let me know what y'all want me to talk about, man. You know, I got my lineup. So my lineup's usually Dog Lawnmowers, H bar. I get a little Lunc inside there. And what else I be covering? Dog Lawnmowers, H bar, Lunc. And it's a couple other ones that's actually part of my portfolio that I have strong conviction. Now, I have tokens in my portfolio that I don't have strong conviction, but there are projects in my portfolio that I have strong convictions on. So hopefully Tether can finally get his peg. Bitcoin can, and at this point, man, I really want Bitcoin to go ahead and capitulate and Tether to go ahead and fall off and all this stuff to just finally go down, because the longer it drags on, the more chances people run out of money trying to buy on the way down or trying to time to dip. Holidays, responsibilities, etc. You feel me? You might, you know what I'm saying, been waiting forever for this thing to go up or down, and then your car break down. And it's like, damn, man, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to put this money into this, and then my car broke down or something comes up. So remember, man, trade wisely, invest wisely, not financial advice, and do what's best for you. You feel me? You only know your situation, so you got to definitely do what's best for you. And man, it looks like the crypto space definitely wants to recover. A lot of drama going on, man. A lot of drama going on. And I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna dig deep into this Terra Luna Classic merge thing, and I'm gonna spawn out a few more Terra Luna Classic videos. All right, man. So I'm out for the night. I don't want to waste y'all time, man. I know y'all it's life after crypto, baby. It's life after crypto. Shout out to my boy Gamer. You feel me? Made you a administrator, man. Appreciate you. And I got a lot more opportunities out that I want to give out to the people that's in the community. So if we can get this Patreon thing popping on and this members only thing popping off, you know what I'm saying? We can start doing some nifty, thrifty, grifty giveaways, and just doing stuff for the people, doing stuff for the community as I continue to grow as a household name in the crypto space. And I definitely can't do it with y'all family. So we'll be streaming tomorrow. Hopefully we get an edit done.